This topic of self-love is catchy and cute right now, but we're becoming a generation mistaking self-care for self-love, which is causing us to experience a watered-down version of what loving thyself is. Here's the issue. Growing up, we were taught self-respect, but not self-love. So we create an idea of what loving ourselves should be, which is typically far from the truth because the path to true self-love has little to do with self. Today, you're going to learn how to get past the superficial layers and misconceptions of self-love, and by the end of this video, you will learn the truth on how to love you. My name is Nathan Cook, and I'm here to help you live a conscious life. Now, I'm going to share some things with you, and this isn't to impress you, but to express to you how I was caught up in this trendy idea of what loving yourself should be like. And you're probably going to be able to relate to what I'm going to share with you, but I just ask that you be patient with me because there's going to be a lot of twists, turns, and surprises with all of this. There's multiple layers to this lesson. So I used to be quick to say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself a lot because I was doing things that brought me joy. From traveling the world, experiencing and witnessing some of the coolest things in nature, connecting with others through music even though they didn't speak my language, making sure I was taking care of my body, eating healthy, and having fun alone, being alone. I used to believe this was me fully loving myself. But here's the thing. Under those smiles, I held negative emotions, including resentment towards my little sister for cutting her big brother out of her life. And not only that, but keeping my nephew and nieces from their Uncle Natey Nate. I held anger towards my ex-wife for when she said she settled when she decided to marry me. Behind those dance moves, I was holding anger towards my mom's boyfriend for the things he did to me when I was a kid. There was this one time where he used this exact green and white jump rope, tied my hands and feet together, left me on the floor like this for hours while he watched the O.J. Simpson trial. And my life is just like yours. We've all encountered people that have hurt us and possibly broken us. And in those moments, our natural response is to hold on to those negative emotions. But here lies a fundamental truth that we can't escape. What we hold within us becomes a part of us. And when our well of compassion is contaminated with negative emotions towards others, our ability to love ourselves is equally tainted. And here's the reason why. Because the feelings we're harboring towards a parent, family member, ex, neighbor, coworker, whoever, we are the only person who can experience those feelings, which means we're angry, hating, and resenting ourselves because that person can't feel what we're creating within. Are you following me here? If not, subscribe to the channel. Into my late 30s, whenever I would hear or see O.J. Simpson, I would get mad, thinking I was getting mad towards my mom's old boyfriend, but I was getting mad at myself because I can only experience my feelings. When we hold on to pain, we can only experience the lower end of the spectrum of self-love. Think about it. How can we experience pure love for ourselves when anger, resentment, or hate lives within us? Most people fall in love with the idea of self-love, but don't know how to get there. So how do we get to this deeper love at the other end of the spectrum? There are two things we have to do, and your ego is not gonna like either one of them, but I'll shut it up with proof. Number one, we have to love others first before we love ourselves. And you heard me correctly. We have to love others first. And I'll prove to you why in a minute because I know it's going against your beliefs. Most people like the collective narrative, which is,
I have to love me first before I can love anyone else.
right? You know why we love this saying? Because it feeds the ego. It's all about me, 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 me. The thing is that the ego loves believing it's number one. And this belief is causing people to prove their love to themselves. We shouldn't be recycling our love. We should be giving it away. I'm not insinuating putting others before you. There's a huge difference. But we should love others first. If we start loving before we judge, loving before we hate, loving before we criticize, loving before we get angry, we start to see the world through a lens of empathy and kindness. The current collective belief of self-love is a form of self-absorption. You can only love yourself to the capacity you love others because it's a reflection of you. How are you loving your parents, family, neighbors, coworkers? The person you dislike the most is the most you love yourself. The second thing we must do to experience a deeper self-love is to forgive. This is the F word we should be using more often. Forgiveness is the only solution that can wash out the negative emotions that are housed within us. And we can't forgive someone partially, just like Someone can't be 99% faithful. There are people who say they forgave their parents, but rarely speak to them. Say they forgave an ex, but still talk badly about them. I want to share something with you. When you choose to forgive, you're not forgiving that person for what they did to you. You're forgiving yourself for not loving them for who they are. We don't know what anyone has or is going through in their life. And even if we know their past, we don't know how it was perceived by them. All we can do is have love, grace, and compassion. We get caught up in this need to know the reason why they hurt us. Love doesn't reason. It just loves. And I get it. Forgiveness can be hard, mostly because that pain we felt becomes a part of our identity, the story we tell ourselves. And on a subconscious level, forgiveness can come across as if they won and you lost. But the truth is, the person who chooses love wins, because love always wins. Why do you think we love God? Because God is love. So I have a question for you. Who do you have to forgive in your life? If you're like me, you probably got a list of folks, but I would recommend you start with your parents. They are the ones that made you possible. It's our first relationship we were ever in. And you have to remember, they're hurting just like us. But love doesn't reason. It's just love. I forgave my dad after he passed away. Just because someone is out of sight doesn't mean they're out of mind. And don't force your forgiveness. If you're not ready to forgive someone right now, that's okay. But just know this. Every person you forgive is like peeling crust away from your heart. And you start to experience a deeper love of you. When you love others first, forgiveness comes easy. And if you're able to forgive every person in your life with a pure heart, you'll know the feeling of love God has for you. Let's just not get old together. Let's love together. Bye for now.